All right, welcome to Around the Ring's first YouTube exclusive pay-per-view review. It is our TLC 2016 review. I'm one half of your host, Dave Brown. I'm joined with, as always, by my good buddy, Floyd Johnson. How you doing, Floyd?
I am doing absolutely great. This was one of my first live pay-per-views that was not WrestleMania in quite some time. And I can say it didn't disappoint, but we'll get more into that.
All right. So you were, for those who didn't know, you actually headed down to Dallas, Texas, where this event took place. This was the same arena where, during WrestleMania, where TakeOver Dallas and the Raw After Mania took place. Is that correct?
It was. Yes, it was.
So when talking about the crowd, if you compare the crowd of those three events, how was it? Was it really different?
Okay, and let me clarify. I made a mistake. TakeOver Dallas was actually in a smaller venue because it was in the convention center venue, so the people that were coming from Access could go straight to the venue.
Okay, that's right.
So what I would be comparing is they were all right after WrestleMania. There was a SmackDown show, I think like in August or September, that I went to. And then this show, which I would put this show at a solid second, but nothing really can touch the Raw after WrestleMania. The Raw after WrestleMania could be a completely crap show, but because of the rabid fans that come in for WrestleMania every year, the crowd's gonna be amazing.
Okay, very cool. So how full was the building?
I was sold out. I don't know what they announced.
They didn't say any numbers. Amazingly.
Which is weird because generally, it was up to the rafters. There was a couple empty seats in front of us, but I'm pretty sure it was just someone that no-showed because every other seat around them was full.
Okay. And so, we're going to talk about the crowd as we go through the card, because to me, watching it at home, it was interesting because the crowd at first was hot. They were really hot for the first few matches. And then it was after the Miz Dolph Ziggler match, other than big spots, the crowd was kind of dead. And at least that's how it came across on the TV. There were some good pops here and there, but it was like there was a big spot. They were like, "Oh yay!" And then they were like quiet.
Towards the end, I completely agree with you. We're going to go through match by match, so I'm going to give my actual opinions on the crowd for each match. But, I can definitely say we're probably going the same way with that. But, I definitely wanted to see how the experience was on TV.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and start now. I did not watch the pre-show, so were there any pre-show matches?
Okay, yes. The pre-show was a 10-man tag. It was American Alphas, the Hype Bros, and Apollo Crews versus the Vaudevillains, the Ascension, and Kurt Hawkins. Actually, the crowd, of course, it was the initial. So even though it wasn't the greatest match, they were into it. American Alpha got the biggest pop of the group. And, of course, they won with the grand amplitude, which it was funny because they added... I don't think they do this. They added where Jordan actually came off the ropes to catch that backdrop that he does, the bridging backdrop that he does, and it looked like they almost missed. But other than that, match was really good. And of course, they're trying to get American Alpha over in every other way, other than being the tag team titles, so they can. When they actually win it, it's a much bigger deal, and they did a pretty good job of that.
Okay. Well, and I'm glad that Apollo Crews got to do something, because that poor guy lately has been doing nothing.
I feel bad for him. They absolutely have no idea what to do with him. They brought Cedric Alexander in, and they're already putting him in a program with Alicia Fox. And Apollo Crews is like, sitting back here, what about me?
It's so weird. I don't know. I don't get it because...
he is, and this is coming from, for all of you that don't know, a black man He is generic black guy.
But I mean,
there is no more. I mean, he's athletic and stuff, but he has absolutely no personality. His charisma doesn't come off. He is a person that they called up too early. He could have benefited from a year of being in the spotlight of NXT, working with Nakamura, working with Joe, having to show some personality before they called him up.
Yeah, they really called him up way too fast. And
yeah, because athletically, his in-ring program is set. What he needs is a personality.
And now, as I've heard stories, because I didn't really follow him on the independents, but as Uhaa Nation, he apparently had some really good heel runs in different places. He showed a lot more personality. Yes,
and he's not a face. As Uhaa Nation, 80% of the time, I think he was a heel. I mean, that might be completely wrong. Someone might have seen him in some indie wrestling that I've never seen, but everything I pull up on YouTube, he plays the heel.
They need to get him back to that because, the poor guy, he's just as bland as all get out, and I think what my guess is what happened is they got him in NXT, his in-ring work, they were just so blown away by. They're like, well, there's no reason to keep this guy down here, even though they, kept Finn Balor down there for a really long time. They kept Sami Zayn down there for 3 years. But they're like, oh, well, hey, let's send this guy up. And it just, he wasn't ready. And yeah, it's sad because he is so freaking good in the ring. He needs a heel turn. He needs a partner. He needs something. I don't know what, but
I was gonna say we are idea guys. I don't know what to do with him right now. I honestly could only see putting him in a match with Kalisto on Tuesday, right? And Kalisto pulls off beats him, and then he just goes freaking nuts and destroys him.
That would be.
And then talk about how he was misused. He should attack Shane about how you drafted me and then you didn't know what to do with me. And I could see going that way, how great of an athlete and great of a person he is and how he should be in the number one spot. They could do that kind of thing, but I don't know what would fix him.
Well, that would certainly be better than what they've got going on now.
Yeah, his personality just has to come across. He has to give someone something to grab onto. Fans love everyone if you give them something to love. He doesn't give them anything to love.
Yeah. So were there any other pre-show matches or anything?
That was it, and I couldn't hear the pre-show. So if anyone watched the pre-show, I'm not commenting on anything that happened because I don't know.
I didn't watch it either. For the most part, I find the pre-shows pretty damn boring because they show the same vignettes that are about to be shown during the pay-per-view. Yeah. So it's like, well, I can either watch them now and fast forward through them later, or just watch them later. But so one of the first things they showed, and you probably couldn't see this, but unless they showed it on the screen, but when they showed the announcers, I swear they made either the announce table bigger, or they told everybody, okay, you got to sit a lot closer together. And it was real stinking awkward with all four of those guys there. And if you go back and watch the show, what's sad is poor David Otunga has gotten just more and more awkward as time goes on. And it's now with Tom Phillips there, he's even more awkward. And it's like, dude, Tom Phillips is not smooth. Yeah. He is not a cool guy. And poor Otunga, I don't know if he's getting nervous for his job. Not that the man needs money, for Pete's sake. I mean, come on. But it was just bad. But you can, if you watch it back on the boob tube, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. Opening match, we had the tag team championship match of the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton taking on Heath Slater and Rhino. The Wyatts, especially Randy Orton, huge pop. He might have been the most over person of the night, I thought, at least from
tonight. You would have thought if you're let's say you're not a huge wrestling fan, so you're coming there tonight, you would have thought the Wyatts were the faces.
Oh yeah, because they even in some cases they even wrestled like faces.
Yeah.
I loved the moment in the match where Luke Harper pushed Randy Orton out of the way to eat the gore. I thought that was a nice callback to that to when Randy Orton knocked Bray Wyatt out of the way and ate Roman Reigns' spear at what was it, Survivor Series a couple months ago?
Yeah,
or a couple weeks ago.
It was last month at Survivor Series. Yeah, it was only 2 weeks ago.
Jesus. Too many.
So I think that was the solidifying of the Wyatt's moment. And then, you get the RKO out of nowhere. Of course, the building super popped for that. And when they won the belts, and then Randy and Luke had their moment, and then Bray puts the belt on top of Luke's shoulder, and then, hold on a second.
We have dogs, folks.
Dogs. Yeah. Apologize. I thought I had longer of a window.
Hey, that's okay. People can listen to some doggy.
For just a second.
Yeah, sure. All right, so folks, if you hear dogs in the background, just ignore it. That's what happens.
My apologies. I don't generally record from home because I have a lot of animals. I record from work where this is not a thing. But it's Monday, so work is busy, so I have to record from home.
No worries. No worries at all. So, yeah, I loved that moment where when Luke Harper took the belts and was holding them, and Randy takes his belt from Luke, and Luke just looks at him like, I'm going to kick you in the nuts. And then when Bray put his belt on Luke Harper's shoulder, and then there was a little stare down, and Randy did that too. I really hope they don't break this group up anytime soon, because the three of them have a really good dynamic. It gives Randy Orton something to do, because before that Randy Orton was kind of floundering. Because if he's not going to be going against AJ Styles for the title, then this is a perfect spot for him. It's going to elevate those tag titles, having two main eventers holding those belts, even though it is a makeshift team. And you almost wonder, are they going to do this Freebird rules? Are they going to go like the New Day and any number of them defend the titles? Or what? But I loved it. I thought this was a fun match. It was the right ending. The crowd, and here's the thing: the crowd for this match, I was like, okay, this is a hot crowd. This is going to be great, and it only lasted for 2 more matches.
Well, with Randy, the crowd was amazing in this match. You start with the title change, you're always going to get a problem. Get a pop. The thing with Randy is, the one thing people have said that it goes against who he is that he can't talk well. He is not great on the mic. Being with Bray and then the Wyatt family really does change that, because Bray's going to do most of the talking, and then he adds his 1 or 2 lines, and he gets over. So This is going to, I think, as far as extending his career, because he doesn't have to carry the blunt of really long matches, this is going to do a great things to extend his career.
Agreed. And I think him, by being partners with Bray and working with Luke Harper, it's a nice rub on those two. Yeah. And I will say, there was the moment in the match, I don't know how well you guys could see this from where you were sitting, but when Heath Slater tried to do the slingshot over the top rope to do a sunset flip, and Orton turned that into that power slam. That was
amazing.
Oh my God.
Sick spot.
That was so awesome. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I was very glad to see Bray finally win his first title. He looks good with a belt. So let's hope many, many more belts come his way.
And it adds to the whole he's a god thing.
Yep.
He's like, when he decides he wants something, he takes it.
Exactly.
And that works for him right now. It works on everything. And I truly think if they wanted to at some point turn them face, they would be the most over thing ever. And the fact is, how they work, and the New Day has kind of set the table. You can still do heel things and be face.
Yep. Yeah, in fact, I would love to see at some point Bray the Wyatts go after AJ. Because first of all, I think Bray and AJ could have some excellent matches, but the pop that AJ Bray would get for being a face going after the title would be incredible. And I think the future for him is as a babyface because he is so charismatic.
And that's the whole thing. He doesn't have to change anything about what he does. All he has to do is change who he goes after.
Exactly. So next up, we had Nikki Bella versus Carmella in a no DQ match. Nikki Bella,
I felt like this match killed the momentum of the crowd.
To me,
they tried to be into it, but there wasn't a lot of good spots in this match.
Yeah, this match was hard because you weren't going to get big spots in this. This honestly should have been a cool down match later on, not a momentum killer early on.
Yeah, if it happened right before the main event, I would have been okay with it.
Yeah. I will say, that all having been said, I think this match was a lot better than it had any right to be.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I felt like it was a pretty good match, especially with the limited in-ring work of Carmella. Nikki is pretty much like her counterpart, John Cena. She needs a really strong dance partner to put on a good match, and Carmella's not a strong dance partner right now.
Exactly. One thing that was interesting, and I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but when they were outside the ring, the ref was counting as if for a count out, and the announcers even said that there are countouts in this match, and I was like, wait a minute. In traditional WWE rules, no DQ equals no countout.
Yeah, because a countout is a DQ.
Right. So I was like, what the... And I don't know how much of that was the ref is just counting, he forgot, and he's just counting out of habit. And I don't know how much of it was someone screaming at the announcer saying, say something about this so it makes sense. But it was really weird. But yeah, and I hadn't thought of this match as a momentum killer because at the end of it, my big thing was, wow, that was a lot better than it should have been. But I thought Nikki got a nice pop when she came out. Mm-hmm. But then, so that was...
I think my biggest problem with the match, the only problem really, because I wasn't expecting much from like I said, Carmella has a ways to go as far as in-ring ability. But the biggest problem I had is she needed to win more than Nikki. Nikki could have ate the loss and still went into the rivalry with Natalya, and probably no one would have noticed that. And you could have elevated Carmella to working with Becky, which will probably in the future help her, help her in-ring skill. But with Nikki winning, you kind of put Carmella in this state of does she just go back after Nikki? Does she continue to start a program with someone else? It's just, I don't know. But they might have a plan for her, but we'll see.
Yeah, I thought that was really weird too. That Nikki won, and the thing I kept waiting for when Carmella got on the mic and said Natalya's the one who attacked you, I kept waiting for Natalya to show up and then attack Nikki, and basically Carmella and Natalya become a team going after Nikki Bella, and that just didn't happen. And it's like that whole time Nikki's walking back, I'm like, okay, when's the attack coming? And nothing. So that was anticlimactic, I think. And then the other weird thing is they played Carmella's music after she got off the mic. I'm like, she just lost. And so you get your music played when you drop a theoretical bombshell? Really? I thought that was weird. But
the bombshell that everyone knew.
Exactly. So next up we have Dolph Ziggler taking on The Miz in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. I think I had too high expectations for this match because while I liked it and I thought it was a good match, it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
As far as what the Intercontinental title used to do, this match completely... I got to mute for a second.
Okay. Yeah, so this match was, as Floyd is saying, for an Intercontinental match for a workhorse title, it didn't do what it should have done. But it did continue the story of the Miz, and I think in the long run it'll. Actually, I don't know. I have a theory about what I'd like to see, some fantasy booking. We'll get to that here in a second when Floyd gets back with us. But there were some cool spots in this match, and the Miz was really good in his after the match promo.
Okay, so my thoughts on the match, and you might have just said it. I was just trying to quiet the dogs now for a second. I thought it was a really good match, but with the series that they've had, it's been a bunch of good matches and not anything great. And I thought, it goes to Daniel Bryan's talking about Miz's style. They took chances. But as far as the huge bumps, they were all Ziggler taking the huge bumps. And it was just, you could just kind of tell that it was going towards the Miz winning. You never at any point really thought Dolph was going to win. I kept waiting for Maurice to do something, like jump in and stop him from climbing the ladder, but they decided to just let the Miz win straight up. And that was pretty cool because, you might say the low blow, but it's a no DQ, no rules match. So, yeah, that's not really that big a thing. The promo, it pops so hard. I don't know if that came across on TV, but he didn't get booed. He pretty much got cheered because everyone thought that promo was awesome.
Yeah, there were lots of cheers for The Miz throughout the match. He was far more over than Dolph Ziggler, I think. And I think he, in a lot of ways, and you mentioned this a couple weeks ago on the podcast, he is SmackDown's answer to Chris Jericho. He is this heel that everyone is just is liking because what he's doing right now is so damn good. And to me with this feud, they've had some really good matches. They had the one where Dolph finally won the title, I thought was a great match. I can't remember which pay-per-view that was on, but I thought that was a fantastic match. And of the series, this is probably the weakest of all of their matches. And it really makes me wonder where they're going to go with this, because it feels like it's building to The Miz versus Daniel Bryan, and unless there is some miracle of medicine that happens that makes WWE go, okay, well, we'll let you have one last match. That doesn't seem like an option.
I think he's going to have one last match at WrestleMania, and he's going to retire the Intercontinental Champion.
That would be good. See, what I was thinking is he could bring in a surrogate for him. And who else throughout wrestling is known for holding a title that's known as an Intercontinental title that you could bring in?
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Exactly. Nakamura could be Daniel Bryan's surrogate, could beat Miz at, say, WrestleMania for Daniel Bryan, and then at that point, I think Nakamura needs to hold the belt for a year and make it a super important title, and before he moves up to the the world title level. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, the whole time they kept talking about in commentary, this is the last time that Dolph Ziggler gets a shot. This is the end of this feud, yada yada, and it makes you wonder. Okay, so what happens now? Where do they go? Dolph's going to obviously do something else. Miz is going to continue to harass Daniel Bryan, and my guess is Daniel Bryan's just going to start sending guys in to take on the Miz. And who knows, maybe they do something where he keeps sending people in and they keep losing, and he finally says, okay, fine, I'm going to bring in someone you've never met, and bring in Nakamura or Joe or somebody from NXT.
Or Ty Dillinger.
Ty Dillinger. Yeah, because I will be surprised if we don't see Ty in the next month or two show up on Raw or SmackDown. And so that was to me, this is where, with the next match, this is where the crowd really just kind of, I don't know if they were tired, if the momentum died, I don't know what it was, but the next match, Kalisto versus Baron Corbin, a chairs match, it probably didn't help that no one gave two shits about either of these guys.
Well, let me say this. This was a bathroom break match. Like, after that match with Baron, there was this mass exodus to the bathroom. So, halfway through this match, there was no one there. Right? And then you'll see I don't know if it comes across, towards the end, the crowd actually gets into it. So they did a really good job of taking a dead crowd and making them actually care.
Yeah, to me, watching on TV, what I noticed was the crowd didn't care until there were big spots. And they got into the big spots. And then as soon as the big spot was over, they went back to not caring again. Because in reality, no one cares about either of these guys. It's just Kalisto is being wasted completely by not being in the cruiserweight division, and Baron Corbin has a great presence, has gotten a lot better in the ring, and comes off as a jerk, but just something isn't quite clicking there yet. And my thought at the end of this, I was like, okay, so how does this victory really help Baron Corbin? Because it took him giving an end of days to this guy on a bunch of chairs, a dude who's damn near half the size of Baron Corbin. How, other than just making Corbin look like a dick, it doesn't make him look like super strong or anything, because he needed chairs to win. I mean, it made Kalisto look better because Kalisto fought through everything. But I don't know. My biggest takeaway from this match is I hope to God this is the last time these two have a match for months upon months.
Kalisto, they're trying to make Rey Mysterio so bad. I think Baron Corbin, the next logical thing they have to do is have him go after the world title and kind of do AJ Styles doing somewhat of a face turn. Not an all-the-way face turn, but because Baron Corbin is what you would consider the bigger heel, he would automatically be the face in the situation.
Yeah.
I just think that's what it's going to need. I mean, Corbin's going to need someone strong to help get him over.
Yeah, and maybe he can make Corbin look good like he made Roman look good in their feud, but there's no way in hell Corbin wins the title. But I mean, yeah, I guess
AJ makes everyone look good. I mean, like I said, we're about to talk about this in a minute, but yeah, he makes everyone look good.
Yeah, I would like to see an AJ Dolph Ziggler feud, and understanding that Dolph Ziggler's not winning the belt, but if he just needs a holdover feud through the Royal Rumble, or up to the Royal Rumble, because who knows what's going to happen with Undertaker. I would at least the matches
it would go into, but it would feed more into the idea that they keep giving Dolph chances and chances and chances, and he doesn't earn them.
Well, you could make it where it's Daniel Bryan saying, "Hey, I know you're disappointed at this, but here I'm going to give you a shot at this," or it could be another, fatal 4-way number one contender match, which Dolph Ziggler won before, and he wins. Because it's believable. You put Ziggler in a match, and it's believable that he could win at any given time. It's storyline wise is where they've just beaten him to death. But like when he pinned AJ in that fatal 4-way months ago to become the number one contender against Ambrose, you could do something like that. But maybe Dolph just needs to go away for a little while. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've said that before. I mean, The Miz being so hot ruined his Intercontinental title reign, Dolph's Intercontinental title reign. I honestly think he should be traded, personally. I don't know who you would trade him for, but at this point, that's what could make the brand split, fresh, is, trading people. And I think because they've done everything, he's put over The Miz as much as you can put over one human being.
Yeah. You could.
I mean, they've wrestled 4 times on pay-per-view. The Miz has won 3.
They could trade Dolph Ziggler for Sami Zayn.
I mean, that would work, and that would automatically give a good Intercontinental title feud. SmackDown roster's thin. That's a big thing with it, unfortunately. So they do need to call some people up that they can put in that main event picture, or maybe as we've hearing the Undertaker or John Cena coming back, because they need someone to give to AJ.
Yeah. So there's a theory that's running around that at Royal Rumble we're going to get AJ versus Undertaker, and Undertaker's going to win. And then at the Elimination Chamber, it'll come down to AJ against John Cena, and John Cena will win. And then it will be John Cena and Undertaker at WrestleMania.
I could live with that. I do think AJ deserves, because of the hot year he has, deserves to be at WrestleMania with a title. And I could see him dropping to the Undertaker to continue the streak. I think that would be more interesting in my opinion. But that's just because I'm an AJ Styles guy. But the whole thing with the WrestleMania, they like the biggest names ever. So, of course, we got Shaq versus The Big Show. We'll probably have Rock and Goldberg again. John Cena versus Undertaker. That's the only thing Undertaker has not done at WrestleMania. So, yeah, let's do it. It's giving you some really marquee matches for Orlando. I just think Orlando is Smarky Town. They really need to feature AJ, Kevin Owens, some of the what you would call indie guys in some of the bigger matches.
Agreed. I
just don't want them to throw Kevin Owens, AJ, all of them in an Intercontinental title match and say go.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I would, when I think about it, I'm like, well, in a way, I'd rather have Cena win his 16th World Championship from The Undertaker than from AJ Styles.
I think it's, yeah, I mean, and that's true, but I think it tells, yeah, from The Undertaker works, because it's just saying that would be cool. He wins the title, I guess, at Elimination Chamber. But you know what? You got to give him a win over AJ eventually. AJ can't just dominate John Cena. It's just, I mean, logically, storytelling-wise, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
But it would be so nice. One can hope. One can hope. So the next match on the TLC pay-per-view from last night, we had Alexa Bliss taking on Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's Championship in a tables match. You guys probably couldn't see this, but the Bayley superfan Izzy was in attendance. They at some point when they were panning across the audience, I saw Izzy. I was like, holy crap, it's Izzy. I mean, this is a random-ass pay-per-view for her to go to with no Bayley anywhere, but hey, Izzy's
maybe family in Texas?
Maybe, yeah. So, what'd you think of this? I thought Becky
crowd was dead.
Yeah. Other than Becky's pop when she came out.
I mean, it was a pretty good pop. But, no, it was dead. I mean, dead. I was just, that's the one thing I can honestly say where Raw destroys SmackDown. Fans are way more into their women's matches than in SmackDown. And I think it has everything to do with Becky Lynch. I love Becky Lynch and understand I don't have much negative to say about her ever. I think she's what I want a women's wrestler to be. But her mic skills, she doesn't sell you on the match. She does this whole Becky Balboa, Rocky Balboa thing, which is awesome when you're chasing the belt, but it is horrible when you're the champion. When you're the champion, you kind of got to have some, swagger about you. You got to have that bit of an attitude that I'm better than everybody else, and it does not come across with that way. So people just don't buy into it, in my opinion, and they don't just jump behind her. Like everyone wants Becky to win, but most people don't know why.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So Alexa got the win with a powerbomb.
You should have heard the shocking gasp when that happened. No one thought she was going to win the match. The biggest question was, when Becky slams her on the table, would it break? Because Alexa Bliss is like 105 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, you wonder how many of those tables they had extra tricked out to make sure they break. But yeah, it was, and just like the crowd, I literally, my jaw dropped, and I sat here, and I was like, what? I mean...
Her personality lends more to people caring about the women's title. Everybody's going to want to see her get beat. And again, as Becky being Becky Balboa, it actually lends to her more of her character, and it makes more sense. I mean, as far as I said before the match, I'm a huge Becky fan, but I would not mind if she lost that match because Alexa Bliss has been so good over the last couple months.
Yeah, Alexa really has, and her personality shines, and she can be the perfect bitchy heel champion, and because she already has the attitude that I'm better than everyone else, and so yeah, it's my hope though is that they keep the belt on her for a while.
Yes, and I kind of like the Miz and Chris Jericho. She keeps it in the most devious ways possible. And we were talking about this yesterday. I think this would be, after winning the title, this would be the perfect time to bring in either Blake or Blake Murphy or the combination of both as her valets to keep her as the champion.
Agreed. Yeah, they need to bring back Blake and Murphy, and because Blake, if nothing else, also Blake and Murphy would be really good enhancement tag teams for everyone else to beat.
That is true.
Because they are actually pretty good.
They're pretty good in ring work. They just have no personality.
Exactly. So I say bring them back and give them to Alexa as her minions. But yeah, this was really shocking. And then we have the main event: Dean Ambrose taking on AJ Styles for the WWE World Championship in a TLC match. So I'm watching this morning because I watched about the first hour. I watched up through the Miz Ziggler match last night before I went to bed. And I'm watching this morning. I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, okay, we are 2 hours in, and this thing says this is 3 hours and 11 minutes. Jesus, please don't let this be an hour-long match. And then I realized, okay, Talking Smack's like 20 minutes of that. But... yeah, so this was, the pay-per-view itself was less than 3 hours.
And that's what SmackDown does. They do less is more type of thing.
And they do. So here's, from watching this on TV, AJ got a really good reaction when he came out. He was really over.
I saw AJ Styles' shirt was the most common shirt that I saw.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call it overwhelming, but it was pretty significant.
And Dean got a pretty good pop. But this was a good match. Not their best.
See, I thought, and that's, I will have to agree. Disagree. I thought this was an amazing match. I think it was their best. I think AJ made Dean look so strong in this match. And that's what I have been looking for in the whole time, is to make Dean look good. And I was actually interested in Dean. And I don't know if it's just how it came off in live, some of his facial expressions and how he was doing the match. You know, it was like Dean had AJ's number tonight. That's how the story came off to me.
Yeah, that I can see that. To me, watching this, I felt like Dean was phoning it in.
See, and that's I feel the exact opposite. I felt like he was killing AJ, and AJ was selling it, and and like I said, it was like he didn't do that sling clothesline over too much. That's when I feel like he phones it in, is when he does that like 3 or 4 times a match. Yeah, let's just throw that clothesline in there again. And it was just, I felt like they did a great job of not going after the ladder too much. It was just a fight that first 10 to 15 minutes where they just, like, had no concerns about going to get the belt.
I may have to watch this again because I just was, and maybe part of it was the crowd was not into it. I mean, with the exception of the big spots, again, The crowd was just at that point was like I don't know. They were just there. At least that's the way it came off on TV.
And this is what it's going to come off as far as this is where it's going to be different. Live, my section was really into the match, so it made me really into the match. Because my section was like, we were right to the right of the ramp. Like if you're a superstar coming out, we were to the right. And my section was like, we had a lot of AJ Styles fans in the section. And I'm not saying they were just, it was just like, wow. And when he did the 450 splash, springboard outside the ring through the table, oh my God.
Oh, that was incredible. That was, but also on that,
you might not have heard an eruption because everybody was so shocked that he just did it.
That was such a good spot. And then because the way he landed also, because his head kind of hit the ground and his body kind of kept going. And for a second, you're like, oh my God, he's going to break his neck. AJ has this way of taking bumps that look like they should kill him, and he walks away.
He's super durable.
Yeah.
Super durable.
Yeah, that spot was incredible. So you are making me rethink my opinion on this match. I enjoyed it. I really did.
It was definitely my favorite of the group. And I want AJ to call Roman and Seth and Kevin Owens and say that is what a main event's supposed to be. No one's supposed to take your show away from you. You're supposed to be the best match on the show because you're the main event, and they were the best match on the show by far.
That I will agree with that wholeheartedly. Easily the best match of the night. Now, how did the crowd react to James Ellsworth coming out?
Oh my God! It erupted. He was he was pretty much more over than Goldberg. They did the Ellsworth champs. They did the Ellsworth chant. It was he was monstrous. And when he actually pushed the ladder, which both of us predicted, by the way, if you want to go listen to our actual long podcast, you will know we predicted Ellsworth causing Dean Ambrose the title. And even though we knew it was going to happen, it was the biggest shock how they did it. It was just amazing. Yeah, I thought Dean Ambrose was walking out with the title. They had me emotionally accepting that I was about to watch AJ Styles lose the belt, and then he turned.
Yeah, I thought for a minute there. The only thing that made me curious is when the position of the ladder. I kept looking at it. I was like, that is really far away from where the belt is hanging. He's going to have a really hard reach, and then you see why afterwards when Ellsworth comes in and shoves the ladder, and that was one of the times when the crowd really super woke up, because they treated AJ the entire time like the babyface.
Yes, definitely.
And I think, one thing, I think the story that they're going to tell with this is there was, I don't know if you guys could hear the backstage interviews they did, but earlier in the show there was a backstage interview with Dean Ambrose, and they asked, how is James Ellsworth doing it? And Dean was like, I guess he's fine. He's not here, so that's good.
Yeah, leave the work to and then he called himself the adults or grown-ups.
Right.
And I was like, wow, he just kind of took shots at James Ellsworth right there, and I was like, I could see him using that in his promo.
Oh, yeah, and because Ellsworth is going to, if they're smart, Ellsworth is going to take this and say, you know what, you just used me to get at AJ Styles. You are an absolute dick, and you never cared about me at all. You pretended to, you hated AJ, and you used me as a way to get at AJ. And I'm not anyone's bitch or tool or whatever. So yeah, that, and because it really doesn't change the Ellsworth character all that much. It's just him saying, I'm sick of being treated like garbage by this guy.
Yeah, I'm a grown man. I'm not a kid. I mean,
right. And this just goes again. WWE has this history and tendency of having quote-unquote baby faces that act like complete jerks. I mean, John Cena's done it for a decade, and they're terrible friends. So Dean Ambrose goes right along with that.
That's been a wrestling thing since the 80s. Like I said, I was a Four Horsemen fan because whenever Ric Flair was getting beat up, they always had his back. But on the baby faces, the group always seemed to let their boy get beat up. And I was like, why would I want to be a good guy? Their friends don't have your back.
Yeah, I think Sting was one of the few that didn't do that. He actually had people's back.
Yes. And he would always run in and get beat up trying to save someone.
Right. Unlike, his best friend Lex Luger, who was, a heel half the time anyway. So yeah, you're right. So yeah, that was and that was pretty much that. I mean, that was the TLC pay-per-view. What are your final thoughts?
Energy of the show, the results of the show. You got a shocking heel. You got a heel turn that everyone kind of expected. You got a shocking title change. You got the expected title change. You got an amazing main event match. I gave it an A as far as the show, which is almost redundant because all SmackDown pay-per-views are an A. Rusty, who I was with, gave it an A-. And you will know this is significant because I say this all the time. Rusty hates everything. So for him to give an A- is like me giving it an A++. So if it satisfied the most cynical person I know, it should have. And you didn't like. If somehow you didn't like the pay-per-view, I feel like something's actually wrong with you.
Nice, yeah. I thought walking away, I thought it was pretty good. I can't help but in my head compare it to Ring of Honor's Final Battle, which you can check out our review of and our predictions for TLC on our latest episode of Around the Ring, episode 74. It's over. You can find links to it all over the place, but yeah, you can hit us up on the Twitter at Around the Ring OK. But that actual review is also here on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out if you want. But there's a part of me that, and I know it's not fair to compare the two because they're just completely different animals. But I was like, well, I really enjoyed the Ring of Honor show more, and some of that just had to do with the fact the crowd was ridiculously hot the entire time. And this crowd lost its momentum. It jumped up for the big spots, thank God, so they weren't completely dead. And sometimes it's so weird. Sometimes I think crowds, just the way they come off on TV, can be so different than what actually happens in the building. So I'm really glad we were able to get some in the building perspective from you on this show. And so you're also, speaking of shows, are you planning on going to Royal Rumble?
I have my tickets to Takeover in San Antonio. I'm going to pick up my tickets to Royal Rumble probably closer to the end of the month because I'm going to, I generally on those go to StubHub and try to actually pick my seats because of where I want to sit. And so that's going to be fun. So I will definitely be in San Antonio that weekend. So, yeah, that Sunday morning, it will be me from a hotel in San Antonio.
Nice. Okay. Well, great. I'm looking forward to getting more in arena takeaways from these. But before we get out of here, did you have any final thoughts on?
Final thought is that, like I said, I don't go to many pay-per-views that are not WrestleMania. It didn't disappoint. Again, I do like my introspective moments when I was sitting there that 10 years ago I would have never thought that sitting on top of a ladder with the WWE title would have been AJ Styles at a WWE pay-per-view. So that was kind of special because I've seen him main event a TNA Bound for Glory, and I've seen him main event a WWE pay-per-view, and it's kind of cool. AJ, I'm just like one of the people I'm genuinely happy for as a person. I don't, as far as I think he's a great wrestler, but as a person, this has to be like some of the best times of his life.
Yeah, you think about the last 3 years, he main evented, going back to 2013 when he was still in TNA. He main evented some TNA pay-per-views. He main evented a number of New Japan pay-per-views. He main evented at least one Ring of Honor pay-per-view when he challenged Jay Lethal for the title. And then he's main evented a number of WWE pay-per-views. There are very few people who can say that they have done that. And
the type of career that he's had isn't supposed to happen anymore. You're either a WWE guy or you're not. And that's just kind of awesome that he's in rarefied air. And I don't think a lot of people that didn't know him from WWE will not realize how great this guy is. If you haven't, if you're new to AJ Styles, which I doubt if you're listening to the show, but if you're new to AJ Styles, I implore you to go find some old TNA and some, especially his stuff in New Japan, especially in his New Japan stuff where he is working a lot of strong style, and you will see this guy can wrestle any style that you want.
Oh, yeah. And if you have not seen his match from January this year from Wrestle Kingdom against Shinsuke Nakamura, go find it. It is awesome. So that's going to do it for our TLC review. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming to the YouTube channel. Make sure to click on subscribe so you can get any new videos we put up. And also, please click like on the video. Leave comments. That would be fantastic. We want to hear from you. Again, it's youtube.com/Around the Ring OK. You can follow us on the Facebook and the Twitter at Around the Ring OK, and send us an email, aroundtheringok@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. So until next week, when we will be back talking about whatever happens between now and then, have a great day, guys.